Have you ever had one of those mornings where you forget why you walked into the kitchen? Or maybe you're telling a story you've told 100 times, and suddenly you can't remember how it ends? You're not alone. It's something many of us, over 60, notice as the years go by. Little memory hiccups, slower thinking, or that foggy feeling that wasn't there before. And here's the thing, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain, like the rest of your body, needs a little exercise. Just like we stretch our legs or go for walks to keep the joints moving, we need to stretch our minds to keep them sharp, curious, and strong. But let's be honest, not everyone likes Sudoku or crossword puzzles. Maybe they feel boring. Maybe they just remind you of school worksheets. Or maybe they frustrate you more than they help. And that's okay. Because mental stimulation doesn't need to be a chore. In fact, it can be joyful, relaxing, and even feel like play. In this video, we're diving into 5 brain-boosting puzzles that can actually help keep your memory sharper, your focus clearer, and your thinking more flexible. Even if you've never once finished a crossword or solved a Sudoku in your life. Let's begin with something that feels less like a puzzle and more like an adventure. Visual puzzles. You know those spot the difference images or picture-based logic puzzles you might see in magazines or on apps. Those aren't just for kids. They're actually excellent for older adults because they activate a part of the brain responsible for visual memory, attention to detail, and processing speed. And unlike math-based puzzles, they're fun. There's a sense of discovery, a little rush when you finally see the tiny umbrella that's missing, or the clock that's facing the wrong way. And don't underestimate how powerful that moment is. It might seem small, but each time your brain solves something new, especially visually, it sends a message to your entire nervous system. I'm still learning. I'm still sharp. That's a message worth repeating. Now let's talk about something a little more personal. Word puzzles that tell a story. If traditional crosswords aren't your thing, try word games that involve connecting pieces of a story, like fill-in-the-blank narratives or creative prompts where you match words to finish sentences. These games don't feel like puzzles, but they work your language centers and long-term memory in a powerful way. Some apps even let you build stories from a few prompts, almost like playing with magnetic poetry on the fridge. And here's a beautiful thing about storytelling-style puzzles. They not only stimulate your brain, but they often unlock memories and creativity you didn't expect. You might start with a silly prompt like, "The cat danced on the," and suddenly you're remembering your childhood pet, or that time your granddaughter made up a bedtime tale that made you laugh for days. These types of games are healing, not just sharpening. They make you feel alive. Now, I know some people worry it's too late to start something new, especially when it comes to games or tech or apps. But I promise you, it's not. If you can sit with a cup of tea and enjoy a few quiet minutes, each day you've got what it takes. The key is to pick something that doesn't stress you out, but instead pulls you in with a little spark of curiosity. Because staying sharp after 60 isn't about memorizing long lists or solving complicated equations. It's about staying engaged with your mind, feeding it a little joy, a little challenge, a little play. And no matter what anyone says, you don't have to do puzzles you hate to keep your brain healthy. You just have to keep showing up. With interest, with kindness toward yourself, and with the willingness to try something new, even if it makes you giggle. Let's stay with that thought for a moment. The willingness to try something new. Because that right there, that's one of the sharpest things you can do for your brain. Neuroscientists have a term for it. Neuroplasticity. It means your brain is still capable of changing, forming new pathways, adapting, even now, especially now. And puzzles, when chosen right, aren't just a way to pass the time. They're tools. They teach your brain how to keep learning. So, if picture games and storytelling wordplay felt like a good start, let's move into something just a bit more active. Pattern puzzles. No numbers involved, don't worry. This isn't algebra. Think more like jigsaw puzzles, but without needing to lay 500 tiny pieces across your kitchen table. There are puzzle books and online games where you simply spot the pattern. Maybe it's a sequence of colors, shapes, or directions. The task might be which one comes next, or which item doesn't belong. It sounds simple, but your brain loves this. It's like taking your mind to the gym, but in a way that feels calming, not exhausting. Some folks even use tile-matching games on tablets or phones like Mahjong or memory pairs. You might think, isn't that for kids? But no. These games improve short-term memory, attention, and even reaction speed. 3 things we all want to keep strong after 60. And the best part? You can play while sipping your coffee or relaxing in the evening. No pressure. Just gentle stimulation that keeps your mind moving. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked. Sound puzzles. Yes, you heard that right. We always talk about sight, but listening can be just as powerful when it comes to mental fitness. There are auditory puzzles that ask you to recognize a sequence of tones, or repeat a rhythm, or spot what's missing in a sound pattern. You can even find old-fashioned name that tune games that challenge your brain to remember melodies. That's not just fun, it's memory training. Sound-based games are great for those who may struggle with reading small text or seeing fine print. And for many people, music brings back powerful emotions and memories. That's not just nostalgia. It's therapy for your mind. So if you've ever found yourself humming an old song and suddenly remembering exactly where you were when you first heard it, that's your brain lighting up. That's your mind connecting dots, and that's exactly what we want to encourage. It's also worth mentioning that these puzzles don't have to be done alone. Some of the best brain workouts come from shared moments, whether it's a board game with family, a word-guessing game with your partner, or even a brain teaser you and a friend try to solve over the phone. Engagement is key, because puzzles aren't just about solving problems, they're about staying connected, curious, and alive. So maybe today you pick up something simple. A quick visual challenge in the newspaper, a memory game on your phone, a card game that keeps you on your toes. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be serious. It just has to keep you thinking. And remember, even if you've never liked puzzles, you've spent your whole life solving problems. You've raised families, worked through challenges, fixed what was broken, figured out how to move forward when the road wasn't clear. That means your brain is already incredible. Now it just deserves the care and playfulness to stay that way. Let's keep the momentum going. You know, there's one kind of puzzle that doesn't get nearly enough credit. It doesn't come in a box, it's not printed in a magazine, and you won't find it in a phone app store. And yet, it might be the most powerful brain workout of them all. I'm talking about real-life problem solving, the kind you do every day without even thinking of it as a puzzle. Figuring out what to cook with the leftovers in your fridge, planning how to get to the doctor's office on time, without rushing, helping your grandchild with a school project, even just budgeting out your week so everything fits. That's not just life. That's mental strategy. That's your brain staying sharp, nimble, and creative. When we look at puzzles in this way, not just as games, but as moments of challenge, adaptation, and creativity, we start to see that we've been training our minds all along. But if you're someone who wants to take that everyday thinking and turn it into a more deliberate brain-boosting ritual, here's a lovely practice you can try. It's called a daily logic challenge. Here's how it works. Each day, set yourself one small thinking task. Not a to-do list item, but something fun and brain-focused. Maybe you try to solve a riddle. Maybe you plan your grocery trip in your head without writing anything down. Maybe you challenge yourself to rearrange your bookshelf by theme instead of size. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is how you do it, on purpose, with curiosity, and without pressure. The goal isn't to be fast, it's to be fully engaged. And the amazing thing? Just 10 minutes of this kind of focused thinking a day can improve your working memory, attention span, and even delay cognitive decline. You're not trying to win a prize or beat a clock. You're simply showing up for your mind the way you'd show up for a good friend. And here's a little secret I've learned from people in their 80s and 90s who still feel mentally fresh and full of life. They don't just do puzzles, they embrace a playful mindset. They treat life like a game of curiosity. They ask questions, try new things. They challenge themselves with joy, not judgment. So whether you're sitting at the kitchen table with a crossword, experimenting with a puzzle app for the first time, or simply tackling today's grocery list with a little more intention, know this: you are investing in your mind, and it's never too late to grow, learn, or even surprise yourself. The best puzzle of all is the one where you rediscover what you're capable of. Let's keep going, because we're not done yet. There's one final kind of puzzle we haven't talked about, one that brings connection, emotion, and meaning into the mix. And it might just be the most valuable one of all. There's a puzzle that doesn't look like a puzzle at all. No shapes, no numbers, no rules. It doesn't sit on your table or your screen. Instead, it lives in conversation, in memory, in connection. It's the puzzle of recollection. Now, I know that might sound strange, but stay with me for a moment, because this one is powerful. Think about this. Have you ever sat down and tried to remember your first job? Or your favorite childhood meal? Or where you were when something big happened in the world? Those moments, trying to piece together the sights, the smells, the voices, that's a puzzle, a personal one, a deeply human one. And it does incredible things for your brain. Recollection engages the parts of the mind responsible for long-term memory, emotional processing, and language. But more than that, it connects you to you. And even better, it connects you to others. If you've ever shared a story from your past with a friend or your grandchild, or even just spoken it aloud to yourself, you've worked a puzzle more valuable than any crossword, because memory isn't static, it's alive. Every time we revisit a memory, our brain strengthens those neural pathways. It's like shining a light down an old hallway saying, "Hey, this matters. Don't forget this." And you don't need perfect recall. You don't need to get every detail right. It's the trying that matters. The effort, the spark, the joy of rediscovery. Want to make this even more engaging? Pair it with a journal. Or record a voice note. Or invite someone to listen as you piece things together. Ask yourself a new question every morning. What was my favorite song at 20? What advice would I give my 30-year-old self? What's one moment that made me laugh so hard I cried? Suddenly, you're not just keeping your mind active. You're honoring your life. You're preserving your story. And you're turning your experiences into living puzzles, full of wonder, depth, and wisdom. And here's something beautiful to hold on to. The more we use our memories, the more they use us, shaping our present, guiding our future, keeping our identity alive and vibrant. So even if you never open a puzzle book again, even if Sudoku and riddles and logic games make you roll your eyes, you can still keep your mind razor sharp just by staying curious, engaged, and open, because the greatest puzzle is you. Your thoughts, your feelings, your history, your dreams. And when you give your mind space to wander, play, and connect the dots, whether it's through stories, games, or challenges, you remind yourself that there's still so much life left to explore. Now, before we close, let's bring it all together. Because these gentle habits, these brain puzzles that don't feel like puzzles at all, can do more than pass the time. They can keep your mind young, your spirit light, and your confidence strong. If there's one thing I hope this conversation has reminded you of, it's that mental sharpness doesn't come from how fast you solve a riddle or how many trivia questions you get right. It comes from how often you engage with your thoughts, your surroundings, and with the people around you. And isn't that what we all want as we grow older? Not just to be remembered for what we once knew, but to keep discovering, connecting, and expanding. Even now. Especially now. Whether you choose visual games, word-based challenges, memory exercises, or simply share old stories with someone close to you, you're telling your brain, I'm still here. I'm still curious. I'm still growing. And let me tell you, that's powerful. There's a quiet kind of magic in choosing to show up for your mind every day. You don't have to play Sudoku or spend hours solving logic problems. You just have to take the first step. Maybe that means doing a 5-minute picture challenge over your morning coffee. Maybe it's telling your grandchild about the time you danced barefoot in the rain, just to see them smile. Maybe it's trying a new app or writing down a memory or asking your partner, "Do you remember when?" These little acts, they are gifts to your mind, and they add up. I've known people who kept their wit sharp into their 90s not because they studied neuroscience, but because they never stopped being interested in life. They kept learning, kept laughing, kept solving the puzzles life handed them, big and small. And you can too. No matter where you are, no matter what you've been through, there's a version of you right now that is wise, vibrant, and entirely capable of growing even stronger. So be gentle with yourself. Be playful with your mind. Give it room to stretch and space to rest. Let yourself enjoy the kind of mental movement that feels more like joy than effort. And most of all, never believe the myth that growing older means growing dull. Because you, my friend, are proof that age is not an end. It's an evolution. Now, if you've enjoyed this time together, I'd love to hear from you. In the comments below, share one kind of puzzle or mental activity that brings you joy. Maybe it's a memory game, a song you like to recall, or just a fun challenge you do each morning. Whatever it is, your story might just spark inspiration for someone else reading. Let's build a community where learning never ends. And if you found something here that touched you, helped you, or made you smile, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe. We've got so many more warm, wise, and helpful conversations waiting for you. Here's to staying sharp, staying curious, and living your most meaningful years with clarity, confidence, and just a bit of fun. You're not just aging, you're still becoming. And I think that's the most beautiful puzzle of all.